Hello friends, myself Rajiv Gupta. I am taking the lecture series on high performance liquid chromatography HPLC. In various parts of HPLC instrument, in this lecture I am going to talk about columns in high performance liquid chromatography. In a previous lecture, I started this topic where I shown that what is the material used for to prepare a column wall, that is a heavy walled glass tubing, which could be a glass material or could be a polymer tubing which may be made up of polyether ether ketone peak material, or it could be a stainless steel column which is coated at its inside wall or inner lining by glass or peak material to make these stainless steel columns inert towards the solvent of mobile phase. So these two types of columns, as I discussed in previous lecture, these are analytical column and pre-column or guard column. We learned about analytical column where the inner diameter of this analytical column could be in between 3 to 5 mm, or it depends on the bore size, which could also be 1 or 2 mm. And here the length of these HPLC columns could be 10 to 15 centimeter long, or it could be maximum up to 30 centimeter long. And also we see the particle size which is filled, particle size of stationary phase which is filled in this analytical column contains 5 micron. Here we get 0.5 to 2 ml per minute flow rates of mobile phase inside this column. So here the HPLC columns which contain very small particle size, almost around 5 micron, here we get 40,000 to 70,000 plates. These are theoretical plates per meter. So these high number of theoretical plates provide a very good resolution or very good separation in this very small length column, HPLC column. Generally these theoretical plate numbers per column will be 10,000 per plates for this HPLC column, which could be in the range of 10 to 15 centimeter. So the advantage of choosing this smaller particle size or higher number of theoretical plates, the speed of the flow of mobile phase is slower even at very high pressure applied by pumps. So here we get a very low solvent consumption, or here sample solvent consumption or mobile phase consumption is very low. So within 5 ml or 2 ml solvent volume, our whole sample components will be separated in this short length column. So there are many types of column depending on the diameter, inner diameter. That could be narrow bore column which contains inner diameter in the range of 2 to 4 millimeter. It could be micro bore column which contains the inner diameter range 1 to 2 mm, or it could be packed capillary column which contains diameter less than 1 mm. As we move from higher diameter to lower diameter of bore, then we get very efficient column. But for the movement of mobile phase, for that capillary type packed columns, we have to apply very high pressure through pumps. So depending on our requirement and depending on our nature of sample, we choose the bore size of our column, our analytical column. Now these are the true photographs of these analytical column. These could be made up of glass or the peak material or stainless steel. These three materials, as I discussed, could be used to form these type of analytical columns. In case of stainless steel columns, generally the inner wall or inner lining of this column or this tube will be coated or lined by this glass or PEEK material. Now the second topic of this column is pre-column or guard column. So the guard column is a guard, actually it is a guard which guards our analytical column from impurities. So just before the analytical column we attach our guard column, so it is also called a pre-column because it is just attached previously to the analytical column. So the guard column length is generally short compared to analytical column. Its length could be in between 2 to 3 centimeter, which is very less compared to analytical column. The filled material, stationary phase material inside this guard column will be same as we choose for our analytical column. So what is the purpose of attaching this guard column? Actually it protects our analytical column from impurities. Impurities that could be particulated matter or it could be other insoluble impurities which bind to the stationary phase permanently. So these particulated impurities and that permanently binding impurities could damage our analytical column. So we have to apply this guard column because analytical column cost is very high, or we can say that it is a very expensive column. So if we don't use guard column, then these impurities, these particulated impurities could block our analytical column and we have to replace this analytical column frequently. So what we do, first we apply this guard column. So this guard column increases the life of our analytical column by removing the or by filtering these impurities in this guard column. So this guard column, which is just only 2 to 3 centimeter long, it is very cheap, or we can say less expensive compared to analytical column. So we can replace or we can replace it very frequently, means depending on our sample nature or solvent used, these guard columns will become impure. So this is the some introduction part of this guard column. When the guard column has become contaminated, it is repacked or discarded and replaced with a new one of the same type. Thus the guard column is sacrificed. Okay, it is a type of sacrificial column to protect the more expensive analytical column. So it increases the life of analytical column. Means if analytical column without guard column, it may do suppose 10 samples or 20 samples, but if we apply guard column, then it could analyze 200 to 300 samples. So we can compare like this. So this is the basic function of this guard column or pre-column, which protects our analytical column from these particulated impurities or that immobilizable impurities which are present in our sample or mobile phase. Now the column temperature thermostating. Generally in HPLC instruments, generally we don't use high temperature because generally major number of samples which contain biomolecules could be analyzed at room temperature, but there are some samples which give very good chromatogram when the temperature of the column is high compared to room temperature. So at that, for few samples or for that some specific conditions, we can use this temperature control for this column, analytical column as well as guard column. So for some applications, close control of column temperature is not necessary, as I said, and almost these columns operate at room temperature. But some samples give more reproducible and better chromatograms at constant column temperature, which temperature is higher than our room temperature. So generally we can go to 150 degree Celsius temperature, column temperature. How we apply these column temperatures inside the column? Using water jackets or other constant boiling liquids. Constant boiling liquids, by flowing these water or these liquids, we can maintain the constant temperature of our analytical column as well as guard column. So many chromatograms consider temperature control to be essential for reproducible separations. So to get reproducible separations, sometimes we require this type of high temperature. So in HPLC instrument, obviously we can apply this high temperature using these uh, temperature rising assemblies. These temperature controls or heaters provide temperatures to a few tenth of a degree, means very perfect, very precise heaters will be applied, where they can control the temperature with a few tenth of a degree. Now the second topic of this, the column packing. In this tube of column, we are considering the column, analytical column, means which type of materials, which type of stationary phases we fill inside this column, that are called packing materials. So two types of packings we can do for this analytical column. These are normal phase packings and reversed phase packings. Okay, two types of packings, normal phase and reverse phase. So the two types of partition chromatography are distinguishable based on the relative polarities of the mobile and stationary phases. So normal phase and reverse phase chromatography, that depend on the polar nature of sample components, mobile phase and stationary phase. So the relative polarities of these mobile phase and stationary phase will be reversed in case of normal phase and reverse phase. In earlier times of HPLC, or we can see the history part of HPLC, their normal phase packings were are were highly used, but nowadays the reverse phase packings are very popular for HPLC instrument or HPLC columns. So what is the meaning of normal phase packing and reverse phase packings? In normal phase, the packing material or stationary phase is is polar in nature. Okay, is polar in nature. But in case of reversed phase packing, the polarity is reversed and the stationary phase has non-polar nature. Okay, this is the difference. Also similarly, the polarity of the used mobile phase will also be changed. In normal phase, generally the used mobile phase is non-polar. Okay, it is non-polar, but in case of reversed phase, the mobile phase used contains high polarity.
Hello?
So these are the differences between normal phase and reverse phase type packings. In early works in HPLC was based on highly polar stationary phases such as triethylene glycol or water. Okay, a relatively non-polar solvent such as hexane, isopropyl ether, cyclohexane are used as mobile phase. So it is a early work of HPLC when the HPLC instruments was in its development stage. So these type of packings where the stationary phase is highly polar, but the used mobile phase or solvent is non-polar. So it is due to this historic reason, we use the term normal phase chromatography. This term is used as normal phase packing, and the chromatography which we apply for this type of packing is normal phase chromatography. But the in reverse phase, the condition is just opposite compared to normal phase. Here the stationary phase is non-polar and the mobile phase will be polar. So in mobile phase, generally water molecule, methanol, acetonitrile, tetrahydrofuran, these type of polar solvents are used. So today, in this modern time, generally this reserved phase chromatography is highly used. So again, we can see these points of normal phase and reverse phase clearly in this slide. In normal phase chromatography, the stationary phase is polar, which could be silicon oxide or aluminum oxide in their pure forms. The silicon oxide gel, aluminum oxide gel in their pure forms, where they contains polar functional groups over it. So these polar functional groups like hydroxyl groups provide the polarity to this stationary phase particles. So here in mobile phase will be non-polar. As I said, in normal phase, the mobile phase is non-polar, which could be heptane, hexane, cyclohexane, chloroform and other things. Now the mechanism of separation is shown below. Polar compounds travel slower and elute slowly due to higher affinity to stationary phase. See, here in normal phase chromatography or normal phase packing, the stationary phase nature is polar. So the sample components which contain polar nature, these sample components will show more interaction, more attraction, more affinity towards stationary phase. So these type of sample components which are polar will travel slower and these will elute slowly. But the non-polar compounds which will be more solubilized in the solvent which is already non-polar, and also these compounds or non-polar compounds will attract very less, or their affinity is very less towards stationary phase. So these will travel faster and these will elute first. So this is the basic mechanism of separation in normal phase chromatography. This technique generally is used for pharmaceutical separations. So we can observe this normal phase chromatography technique. What is the packing material? The packing material could be silica gel or alumina gel. Here the example is shown for silica gel material. The silica gel material, which is a particulated material where the particle size could be 3 micron to 5 micron or 6 micron. Over these particles of silica gel, we can clearly observe the presence of silanol groups. These are the silanol groups, SiOH groups. These SiOH groups which are present over the surface of the silica gel particle provide this silica gel particle a polar nature. Okay, so this silica gel in its pure form work as a polar material. So over this polar material, the polar components show more affinity and non-polar components show lesser affinity. As shown in this second diagram, we can see this silica gel particle over which these silanol groups, hydroxyl groups are present. Silanol groups means, here what is silanol group? Here hydroxyl groups is directly attached to this silicon atom. So over combinedly this is called a silanol group. So here various sample components are shown: benzene, nitrobenzene, aniline, para-nitroaniline, orthonitroaniline. So all these sample components have different polarities. So according to their polarities, they show separation over these silica gel particles. So here we know that benzene has lowest polarity and this orthonitroaniline has highest polarity. So this orthonitroaniline shows more attraction, more affinity towards these polar silanol groups, but this benzene show very less or no attraction or interaction with these groups. Also we know that in normal phase chromatography, the mobile phase nature is non-polar. Okay, mobile phase nature is non-polar, so this benzene will be more solubilized or more dissolved, will remain more dissolved in this non-polar mobile phase, so it will travel faster, and this orthonitroaniline will travel slower, and accordingly these all sample components will travel according to their polarity. So here the diagram is shown for the normal phase chromatography. Now we can observe the reverse phase chromatography where the things are just opposite. Here the stationary phase nature is non-polar and the mobile phase nature is polar. So stationary phase non-polar, how we make the non-polar stationary phase? Actually here also we use silica gel, because silica gel is the best material for HPLC and which is very high surface area material. So obviously we use silica gel, but we functionalize our silica gel with some selenizing agents. Using these selenizing agents, we covalently bind organic moieties or organic hydrocarbons over this surface of this silica gel. So these selenol groups, SiOH groups, will react with this selenizing agent, and these hydroxyl groups converts into a non-polar group overall. Okay, so actually what happened here, the silica surface becomes non-polar. Okay, the silica gel surface become non-polar due to covalent coating, covalent binding or coating of these hydrocarbon materials over this surface. So what could be the these hydrocarbons? That could be an octadecyl group containing selenizing agent, an octyl group containing ethyl group, phenyldiol, hydrophobic polymers. So these all type of compounds could be covalently binded over this silica gel material. Now silica gel work as non-polar stationary phase. Now the mobile phase used is polar in nature. The polar solvents, which could be water, acetonitrile, methanol, tetrahydrofuran, dioxane, buffer solutions, acidic buffer solutions, basic buffer solutions, or here we can also use the mixture of solvents. Okay, for specific gradient type illusion we can choose mixture of solvents, means acetonitrile water mixture or methanol plus acetonitrile plus water mixture. So these type of solvents could be easily used, which provides polar nature to the mobile phase. So what is the mechanism of separation of various sample components? This also will be opposite, this also will be reversed compared to normal phase. What we see in normal phase chromatography, the polar components will travel slower, but here the polar components will travel faster, because these polar compounds or polar sample components will not show any affinity towards non-polar stationary phase, and these will be more solubilized with polar mobile phase. So these will elutate first. Now these non-polar components will travel slower because these will show more affinity towards non-polar stationary phase, and these will elutate slowly from the column. Now we can see the diagrammatic view of this packing material, that is silica gel, which is coated by a hydrocarbon. Silica C18 packing materials, here are shown one example, that is C18, that contains an octadecyl group. Then octadecyl, octa means 8, decyl means 10, means 18. 18 carbon straight chain hydrocarbon, that is C18. We also called it a ODS, octadecylsilane, silica octadecylsilane. So we react silica gel with octadecylsilane material, octadecylsilane. By the reaction in between the silica gel and ODS, we can get these type of compound where we can observe this silica gel particle over this. These selenol groups are captured by this selenizing agent. Okay, so this is dimethyl octadecylsilane. Okay, what is this group? This is dimethyl octadecylsilane, which is attached over this oxygen atom. So here the hydrogen atom is removed. So this OH group actually converts a type of into a non-polar group. Now this silica gel surface work as a non-polar stationary phase. So the packing material which is non-polar, which could be silica C18, where the hydrocarbon chain size is larger. Silica gel C8 means octyl group, here the hydrocarbon chain size is smaller, or it could be a polymer. Now polar solvents could be methanol water system, acetonitrile water, or methanol buffer solution, these type. So what type of samples which could be separated over this reverse phase chromatography or reverse phase packing? That components which having different length of carbon chain, because different length of carbon chain shows varying or differential interaction or differential affinity towards this non-polar stationary phase. The long carbon chain sample components, carbon chain containing sample components will interact more to this non-polar stationary phase, and shorter carbon chain containing sample components will interact lesser to this stationary phase. So this is the reverse phase packing type, where we use silica gel which is combined or covalently bonded with these non-polar hydrocarbons. So these are the obtained chromatograms in case of normal phase chromatography and reverse phase chromatography. In normal phase chromatography, suppose here three sample components are present in our sample. The three sample components show the polarity in this range. These are the order of polarity. The component A has highest polarity, then component B, and then component C has lowest polarity. So this is the polarity order. Now these sample components how separate over this normal phase packing or normal phase chromatography? In low polarity mobile phase, suppose we choose our mobile phase that contain low polarity, so now we get this type of chromatogram. Here we can clearly observe that component A is traveling slower and component C is traveling faster inside the column. So the retention time of component C is lowest. See, this is the retention time in chromatogram. The retention time for component C is lowest, but the component A is highest, because component C is less polar, so it will show lesser interaction with polar stationary phase, and component E is highly polar. Okay, component A is highly polar, so it will show high affinity, high interaction with the polar stationary phase in normal phase chromatography, polar stationary phase. So it will retain for more time inside the column and it will eluted at last. So we get the peak of this component A at higher retention time. Okay, when we change the polarity of this mobile phase from low to medium, then what happened? These all sample components show more interaction with stationary phase compared to mobile phase, because mobile phase polarity is increased. So what we see that these peaks of the chromatogram, various peaks in this chromatogram comes very close. Okay, so here in this second chromatogram of normal phase chromatography, the effect of solvent polarity, the effect of mobile phase polarity has been shown. Okay, now the second chromatogram is for reverse phase chromatography, where the stationary phase is non-polar and mobile phase is polar. Now what happened here? The obtained peak for ABC components are reversed, means their direction is reversed. The first peak is for A, second for B, and third for C. So what happened here? The component A, which is highly polar compared to B and C, it is highly polar, it will show very less interaction, very less affinity towards non-polar stationary phase in reverse phase chromatography. So it will travel faster inside the column and it will elute first, so its retention time is less. Its retention time is low compared to B and C. So B and C will elute accordingly, according to their polarity. So in reverse phase chromatography, we see just the reversal of this elution time, or elution this retention time. Okay, now again, if we change the polarity of mobile phase from high to medium, high polarity to medium polarity means we reduces the polarity of mobile phase. Now what we get, the peaks are coming close on over this chromatogram. So these are the two chromatograms which we get in normal phase chromatography and in reverse phase chromatography for the same type of sample. Now the column packing materials, as I already discussed, the column packing material generally are could be silica gel or alumina gel, but silica gel material are highly used for column packing. So the choice of supporting material for separation depends on the nature of our sample, nature of our HPLC instrument, and the nature of our pumps which are used in HPLC instruments. So these all things affect the choice of supporting material. So actually the supporting material used is silica gel, but what type of silica gel we have to use? Means pure silica gel which is polar, or bonded silica gel which is non-polar, or the particle size of silica gel, or the silica gel particles is porous or non-porous. Which type of silica gel we are preparing, that is the choice of our supporting material. So silica gel is the major material or many highly used material for stationary phase in HPLC instrument. For the majority of applications, silica gel itself represents the basic material used to pack HPLC column. So this is highly used material which is used for these HPLC columns. So what happens over the silica gel? When we run our experiment, the components, sample components which are dissolved in mobile phase interacts with stationary phase. So there is a competitive interaction, there is a competitive type interaction between these mobile phase and stationary phase. If sample components are more soluble or show more affinity towards mobile phase, then obviously they will travel faster inside the column and elute first. But if compounds or sample components show more affinity towards stationary phase, then they will retain for more time and travel slower inside the column. So this type of interaction of compounds takes place inside the column, where there a type of competitive interaction between mobile phase and stationary phase. So by changing the mobile phase composition in gradient elution chromatography, we can control the elution of these compounds. Okay, and by changing the sample, by changing the stationary phase, by replacing any column, analytical column, we can also control the sample components flow inside the column. And for various type of sample components, we can choose a specific type of stationary phase material or a specific column. So this thing I am discussing in this lecture. So what could be the supporting material for this column, for this analytical column? Means what could be the stationary phase material? So silica gel is the best material which are highly used in current days. It is a rigid material, very strong material, amorphous solid. Okay, silica gel is a amorphous solid compared to a pure silica gel, a pure silica material which is crystalline in nature. So a very small difference is between this crystalline silica and silica gel. So generally silica gel is a type of amorphous solid which composition is SiO2H2ON. Means obviously here water molecules are attached to this silica material, SiO2 material, water molecules. So in which form? These are present in the form of OH groups which are directly attached to the silicon atom, selenol groups. So over this silica gel particle, we see these attachment of these water molecules. Here N is very close to 0. Okay, here n is very close to 0 because the presence of selenol groups is very less compared to whole silica gel particle. Compared to whole silica gel particle, the selenol groups generally present over the surface of silica gel particle. So the presence of this water, or we can say the presence of these hydroxyl groups, are very less, very less compared to silicon oxide network. So this silica gel is obviously very different, quite different from natural crystalline silica SiO2. That is a non-hydrated silica. This is hydrated silica. The hydrated silica which we call as silica gel, and this is non-hydrated silica which is a crystalline silica. So silica gel is used for the columns. It is just a distance precursor of it. The silica gel, using this silica crystalline SiO2, we can prepare our silica gel. Silica gel is in the form of spherical particles, sometimes porous particles with a diameter of between 3 to 5 micron. So this is the particle size 3 to 5 micron which we use generally in HPLC instrument. These assures a compact and homogeneous packing of the column, which allows a regular circulation of the mobile phase without the formation of preferential roots inside the column. So this type of silica gel material contains 3 to 5 micron. These form very good packing material with very good packing of the column. Inside that column, the sample components separate very efficiently without using any preferential routes, or we can say without diffusion inside the column. These are separate very perfectly. So how we prepare our silica gel? A method is shown here, that is sol gel polymerization. Okay, sol gel polymerization, where we use a monomers, a type of monomer. These monomers combine together in a specific reaction conditions and form polymers. That is an inorganic polymer. So what are these monomers? These could be alkoxysilicate or tetraethoxysilane. This is the monomer. A monomer solution we use alkoxysilicate or tetraethoxysilane. These are the very less stable monomers. When a specific conditions, we provide these polymers like base catalyzed hydrolysis condition, then these monomers combine together and form polymers, inorganic polymer. So this is a sol gel method, where from the sol we get actually a gel. Gel means larger particle size in the colloidal range, larger particle size, which will be dispersed in our solvent, which in our reaction mixture. So in this sol gel polymerization, initially teeny particles are formed. Teeny particles or smaller particles are formed which contains 0.2 micron size. These 0.2 micron size silica gel particles combine together, okay, and form a sphere type particles which contains micrometers range diameter. That diameter could be 3 to 5 micron. So this type of polymerization reaction, actually controlled reaction, where we can synthesize a specific size or shape, particle size, with porous or non-porous silica gel particles. So the next part of this lecture, column packing material or choice of supporting material, I will discuss in the next lecture. Okay, thank you for listening the lecture.